Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Turntable with Shiki, Ari Styles, and D Money on Active FM, where radio has never been better.
Yes, I'm Arthur Styles, and remember, this is a turntable where we keep you learned and get you turned, or get you learned and keep you turned, whichever you want to look at it.
And I'm D Money. You know, we be bringing you the facts, playing you the tracks. And today we got another great show. It's all about the ladies, the queens.
It's ladies' night.
It's Ladies Month.
Very well, ladies' night. You don't come in. I like that, but into
Is the feeling right?
into the show. No, yeah, it's a feeling right, ladies' night. But there is a song about it, but I'm gonna let us go through it.
Alright, sir. I won't mess up your order.
Uh,
So next week we're gonna get into some
what you said? What Miami?
Miami.
It's Miami.
Miami.
It's Miami.
Miami. Oh,
Yeah.
what's the right?
Miami.
All right. Maya and me.
Yeah. Anyway, we are going to just discuss Queens, seeing that it is Women's Month, and Women's Day is.
Okay, please be specific and say Queens of Hip Hop because people are going to think we're talking about drag queens or something.
No, okay, it's Queens of Hip Hop. sorry.
Yeah, just say Queens.
Not what Chiki does on the weekend.
Or Queen Elizabeth, they're not going to be
Yeah,
sure
we
what
can't.
queens
Yeah, we
we're
can't
talking
say. We can't say Queens, because Queens also could mean Queensbridge.
Yeah, that's also
The bridge is over, okay?
The bridge ain't over. It's still about. It's still there. All right. So we're talking to today. We're discussing the queens of hip hop. First and foremost, I'm gonna mention it as it's not in chronological order, right? So we're just gonna mention names. One of the legendary. I'm gonna start with MC Light.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's
Light
basic
as a rock.
MC Light. Yeah, she's the first solo. She don't classify as a female rapper. She says so. She classifies herself as a rapper.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she's actually the first female solo rapper
Solo
that
rapper
came
to
out
release.
in the 80s. Been around.
Yeah, because prior to that, everyone else was coming out with groups or crews or
Yeah,
something of
in
that sort.
groups.
She was a standalone artist.
Standalone. Yeah, it came standalone without Cruz. Yeah. that,
Probably
uh,
knew a song of hers before you even knew who she was. And it was Rock the Party.
Yeah, definitely.
Who rocked the party? That
Yeah,
rocked the
Definitely,
party.
people know the
Yeah.
record, but they don't know it's
That
MC
was
Light.
that was in 90 like in the late 1995, 96, somewhere around there. But the first album, first full album, full length album, which is called Light as a Rock, dropped in 1988, right? Her flow and lyrical precision and refusal to self-center gained the industry attention very quickly, and that's how she became prominent. In '93, her Roughneck, which is was a song, a single, was nominated for was nominated for a Grammy for best rap single, right? That which made MC Light the first female rapper to be nominated for a Grammy, right? So yeah, she is legendary. I think one of the how do I put
I have
it?
something to say, but I think the point of this episode was to shine a light the fact that it's Women's Day, Women's Month, and basically big up to women. So what I might say is basically a lot of people do put MC Light up there with the greatest MCs of all time, and sometimes they put them with the men and whatever, however you wanna have it. I don't wanna bring this up again, man. But she is Latifa, a few other people that they maybe include in the conversation of some of the greatest or the top fives or the top 10. They've used writers. So I just want to bring back to my point that for the people that put them in there, not to say that they're not legendary artists, they're not pioneering, they haven't paved the way and opened the doors, and obviously in the entire stature they're great people within the culture and generally. But the fact that they've used writers, you just can't necessarily have them in your top 5 situations. I don't know why I mentioned it, but it was a
Yeah.
conversation I had the other day which happened
Yeah.
to have been
Um,
about MC
yeah.
Light.
So if you heard last week, we spoke about Roxanne Shante, we spoke about like now we spoke about MC Light, and you saw their style of rap was how their message that they were portraying.
It was
'cause
more
they-
conscious and
because
feminine first type thing.
if the conscious and the conscious part will come in why I'm bringing it in
What Queen
now,
Latifah.
what Queen Latifah, because back then it was more of the female rappers was trying to out rap, not out rap, but trying to they needed to trying to keep up with her. Don't say keep up. How can I put it? They were trying to
To be respected and looked at as the
Yeah,
same light,
as the
looked
same
at in
light,
the
yeah.
same light as the
That's
males.
what that's what I was trying to say. And when then we had Queen Latifah, right? If you remember what's it called, the native tongues crew, which
It was a crew consisted of
Yeah.
De La Soul,
a Tribe Called Quest,
Tribe Called Quest,
Jungle
Latifah,
Brothers.
Jungle Brothers.
Yeah, yeah. So she was one of the earliest female rappers in hip hop. Um, then she wasn't well known for she used to flow socially, conscious rap, the largely positive content. Um,
Well, that's what the
Yeah.
whole native tongues was. It was surrounded around conscious, somewhat positive, and then her, her coming from that environment, and also being a female which rapped about somewhat feminism and that type of thing. She fit in perfectly with native
Mm.
tongue.
yeah. So like Shiki, you'll sing it right now, right? One of our famous songs, you and ITY.
Oh yeah.
Do it.
You have
do
to
it,
sing
do
it.
it, do you have
You
to-
and I think, and then I don't know the rest of the words.
and songs like Ladies First, right?
Mhm.
As you article said.
Even if you never tell me to sing it, I was
Yeah.
gonna sing it anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, most people recognize her in movies, like
The younger generation will
Yeah.
know her as an actor more than an actual rapper, but she
Actual rapper,
was,
but she
she
was,
is
yeah, she
a
is.
legendary
Yeah.
rapper.
And we also gotta send a shout out to the Queen Latifah of our crew, Tiny. Shout out.
Yeah, and then we come with Moni Love.
The British lady.
The
The British lady. Some tea and crumpets.
Do you-
Hello, love.
that's it called,
Hello, love.
Yeah. So she's one of the only other female rappers in the native tongues. Part and parcel with
She
Queen
came-
Latifah.
yeah.
Yeah.
The thing with that, which is crazy, this was what, late 80s, early 90s? And predominantly the culture hadn't spread and gone as wide and as big as it is today. It wasn't international, it was somewhat localized to America, to New York. For her to have come from the London or wherever she's from, to have come over and did that actually was groundbreaking in, historical, because at this point in time it was still localized.
Mhm.
And the fact that she was able to cross over and come to America and do these records, and lots of people didn't actually know that she was British until years later. So she's actually a groundbreaking artist in that regard.
Right. I remember in the start of the show when you sing about ladies night, nah, right? I'm gonna stand and correct. I'm gonna correct myself. I do
Mhm.
apologize. It was ladies first. It was Queen Latifah.
And Moni Love.
Moni Love.
This is what I said.
And then there was also Little Kim. There was like about quite a few on a remix. On a remix one. That's the one that I was alluding to.
Okay. The
Not
one you
the-
were alluding to, not
yeah,
like how you used to
alluding to,
allude
yeah.
the other day
Yeah.
in completely
Yeah.
wrong context.
Yeah, in a wrong context, yeah. But then we spoke a little bit about Salt and Pepper last week,
Mhm.
right? Salt and Pepper basically their group basically Salt and Pepper, Cheryl James and Sandra Denton and DJ Spandarella.
It was
Right.
important to mention.
Yeah.
DJ Spandarella is a big part of Salt and Pepper. So
Yeah.
people look at, it's like Run DMC.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone speaks about Run and DMC, but Jam Master J also gets his light in terms of being a huge part and an instrumental part of Run DMC. It's the same with Salt and Pepper and DJ Spandarella.
Yeah.
She's part of the group. And last week we spoke about in terms of their content. Their content was pioneering. They were the first to have a certain type of content we spoke about last week. So they started a trend. Also, they were the first female group to go platinum.
Yeah. And their song Push It, right?
Din.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it. And there's the other one. Let's talk about sex and what is it? What a Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So
That's why we were referring to content. They were groundbreaking in terms
Yeah.
of content. They were first to do certain things that they after became what actually female rappers rapped about a lot.
and for them in the top 500, talking about songs, nah, not only in hip hop,
Mhm.
but in songs they ranked. I think it's 400 and something, but for songs and in hip hop, I think I might be under correction. It might be 100 and some. It's in the hundreds for female artists. Stop talking about now. They with that song Push It. That's how famous they are. Yeah, and then we have Foxy Brown, right? Yeah, she's one of the most distinctive female rappers of the 90s. Foxy Brown entered the scene at a mere age of 15 years old, right? She first appeared on LL Cool J's album, Mr. Smith. She
Not Mr. Smooth.
No, not Mr. Smooth.
She was on I Shot You, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just about to come to that part. Yeah, she was.
Was it the same
she's
when you see
rapping
she was on the album?
yeah, it was on the Mr. Smith. It was a remix of I Shot You, right? Then she got signed to in '96. She got signed to Def Jam.
The fact that she survived it, because remember, Cannabis on one of his first songs was with LL, and LL took a shot at him and destroyed him. You know, LL took a shot on at Foxy on that song. Even female rappers can get it too.
Yeah.
She was a 15-year-old girl, he was a grown man, and he took a shot at her.
That's the name of the game. It reminds me of someone I know.
I don't shoot at no 15-year-old girls.
No, it reminds me of someone I know, that dead artist on the article, but it's
And
yeah,
it doesn't-
I'm gonna leave it just there where it is. Then basically she signed to Def Jam in '96. That same year she appeared with Little Kim, Total, and The Bread on the Bad Boy remix of No One Else. It was debut album also. It debuted in '96, that same year. It's the album's
Il
called
Nana.
Il Nana, right? It had critical it has critical reviews. The critics the reviews was a bit mixed. But the sales was very strong. I think we all know the song "Get Me Home" with Backstreet Boys.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But one thing again,
Was
Luis
one of the
Foxy was really big back then, a lot bigger than people actually think. You know, one of Jay's first biggest hits had Foxy on there. Actually, Jay's biggest hit, first, I'm talking about his first one, the one that broke him through, had Foxy on there. Foxy was, had records with DMX, she was part of the firm, she was with Nas and them, and then she had the beef with Lil Kim. Her and Lil Kim kind of ran parallel to each other.
Yeah.
And when
Because they
we
both
always
came
give
out at the
credit
same year.
to Kim for starting that style, and the thing is like that, but Foxy was a part of that as well. She was a little bit more gangster, like if you're on the firm and things like that. So Foxy was huge back then and extremely important.
Right. So now I'm gonna come to, I think this is Shikli's favorite number one. I know this thing, né? When we talk about Fugees, we're talking about.
Lauryn Hill.
Yeah. So I'm gonna leave you to talk about Lauryn Hill.
I don't have things like you have it, but I can go into it. Listen,
Yeah.
Lauryn is wildly regarded as arguably one of the best to ever do it, period, with only one solo album out, and then one that 50 refers to as she did an album with no beats. It's not true, it was an unplugged album. Back then, MTV used to release these unplugged albums. I think that's what he was talking about when he was referring to that. And then she has The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and then obviously what she did on the Fugees.
Yeah. So yeah.
Lauryn
So
is
songs.
one of the best to do it. You know, she has one official solo album, and is regarded as one of the best. She was one of the first artists to actually, see, back then R&B and hip hop didn't blend that well. And then you had it as it grew, R&B artists and hip hop artists started working together. She was a hybrid back in the 90s. She was singing and rapping and doing both at a high level. Not what you got today, that these rappers can't even rap, but they rapping, and they can't even sing, but they singing and rapping. They can't do both, but they doing both. She did both at an extremely high level. She was with the Fugees, with Pras and Wyclef Jean, and basically mopping the floor with both of them on every song. I don't know what I can say about Lauryn Hill, because the people that do know that she is one of the greatest ever.
Yeah.
And a style as well. Like, she wasn't like into just like over sexualized kind
Yes.
of content. She was lyrical. She
She spoke
spoke
about
about like
wo-
a
yeah,
woman.
she spoke about womanhood,
For the
motherhood.
South Africans, you'll hear a lot of
Womanhood.
Soweto references on the
Yeah,
album.
womanhood, motherhood, black femininity, and the music business, basically, right? It is we all know that to wop, right? That thing,
The
everything
whole
is
album
everything.
is hits, because
The
the
whole
album went
album.
diamond. She sold over
The
like
whole-
20
yeah.
million.
That whole album.
And
The
it,
whole
and
entire album
and,
is
and,
hits.
and,
If
and
you've sold
till
over
this
20
day.
million, your whole album is hits.
yeah, so till this day, I think it's still all the songs basically is classics.
So I saw her live. I saw her. The crowd didn't want to let her go away.
Yeah, and then D-Money, this one is for you, Lil Kim, right?
For me.
I hope you're giving him old Lil Kim, not new Lil Kim,
Yeah.
because don't nobody want new Lil
Yeah,
Kim.
even 50 Cent,
Yeah.
he loved Lil Kim until she messed with her nose.
She
Yeah.
looks ridiculous.
Yeah, but anyway, Lil Kim, part of the Junior Mafia, part of the the Junior Mafia, from PIG. Yeah. Um, she like Foxy Brown in '96. She became prominent. Um, T, do you have anything on Lil Kim?
Okay, so she basically started with Biggie, or Biggie helped her out with the lyrics.
And then
She
she
wa-
got her own style afterwards.
Yeah. Then she, yeah,
So she also was quite big in the 90s.
Kim was huge, 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 huge.
Yeah.
Kim probably the second biggest artist after like Nicki, Lauren, and then Kim, like size wise,
yeah.
and globally.
Yeah, and
Kim
as
is
we-
extremely
and
recognized.
if you listen to our show last week, we mentioned Lil Kim about her style and people adopting her.
Nicki and basically everybody
Last
out
time
in the
because-
last 10 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because prior to Lil Kim coming out, and Foxy Brown,
Mhm.
what's it called? A woman was still wearing the sweatpants.
They looked more like
style,
men. They
yeah.
weren't breaking through in terms of a feminine style because they felt like you needed to be more manly and more masculine to actually break through in hip hop. But Lil Kim basically showed you that you can be a woman and show that side of you and still sell records.
Mm-hmm.
But Kim, in terms of that, like if you hear early Kim, she sounds a lot like Big because obviously he was writing the structure and the records for her. But as time grew and she got her own style and she became her own artist. And speaking about her and Foxy had a really big beef at one point in
Yeah.
time.
So
we leave that for another day.
we leave the beefing for another day,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because right now, if vegetarian, we can't have no beef.
Chicken, what about your baby girl Kim?
Yeah.
Is she little Kim? Your baby girl Kim.
I don't know which Kim we're referring to.
Your
How
baby
many
girl.
Kims do you have?
Kim is a very common name.
Okay, then the next one. I think outright, when you're talking about music videos, creative,
Producer.
producing,
The rapping,
Uh,
she can rap at a high
rapping
level as well.
At a high level, I think she blew the stratosphere for me.
She changed the game
Changed the game,
creatively,
yeah. Creatively. Missy Elliott, right? So yes, she's part. She in I think in the 95, 96 when Alia came up with a second album.
Mhm.
She played an important role in producing what
Her and Timbaland.
Her
Yeah.
and Timbaland, right? Not
Writing and producing.
yeah, writing and producing, right? Yeah, so she
And she was on the
she's a
album as
frequent,
well,
yeah,
I
she's a
think.
frequent collaborator. Then she created her first solo album called Super Duper Fly, right?
Mhm.
And we all know that song The Rain.
She got tons and
Yeah.
tons of hits. Like I think she's overlooked as basically what she brought to the game, how big she was, how creative she was. Her and Basta, like people are speaking about doing the verses, and they were always putting like the man against the man and the woman against the woman. This is the first one they were looking at that they got to basically cross genre right because everyone is afraid to go up against Basta Rhyme in the verses because of how prolific he
And-
is,
and
how
entertaining.
animated he is, what the performer he is, the videos
Yeah.
he has, the fact that he's had hits and hits for years and years and years.
And
And the
still-
name that keeps coming up is Missy Elliott. So you need to know how big and how impactful and how important she was to have been mentioned in that conversation. And obviously her creativity, I think Missy, what she done for videos changed the game. I know
Yeah.
now it's not so important anymore, but back then having a great
yeah,
video.
Yeah.
speaking on great videos, right? This is where it started with on Super Duper Fly, that hit single The Rain, right? It's regarded as one of the most inventive videos in the history of music videos, right? And do you know why? You saw the suit that she had. It was
Yeah,
like
that
basically
puffy
a
big suit,
puffy
yeah.
big suit. It was a parachute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really ridiculous, really crazy.
You
Then,
almost said ridiculous. It was, but that was the point. It's back then to break through. You had so many artists, so many great artists, so many creative artists. You had to do something of shock value. That's why the videos would do that. So even though you were about to say ridiculous and you
Yeah.
change your word, it was ridiculous, but it brought you in, it drew you in, and you paid attention to it. So it was like that's why you'd even get artists that would say outlandish things sometimes on the record for shock value.
Yeah, yeah. And then our next album, it was The Real World, which was equally successful. And then the third album, I think it's called Miss E, So Addictive. That's the one that gave us the song Get Your Freak On, Party People, or Work It. That's the most of the song that we basically know.
I
of
think we
Missy
know
Elliott.
records from all her
Yeah.
albums. Because Missy had hits upon hits upon hits.
Yeah.
And that girl that became famous for dancing come from her video.
Sierra.
Sierra.
No, not Sierra. I mean, a small white girl that was dancing in one of her videos.
Oh
and
yes.
ended up acting in all
on
that.
Step Up. On Step Up. She
Yeah,
on Step Up. Yeah. Yeah. So
But
was
Sierra also, since you want to throw it out.
okay. We spoke about Sharok
Last week.
last week, which was the origins. Then we have Trina, right?
Mhm.
So in '98, Trina was starting to get a real estate license when she caught the attention of a Miami rapper called Trick Daddy, right? Um, who recruited her and recruited her on his track called Nan Nigga,
Mhm.
right? It was released as his lead single, and yeah, that's where she
Blew up.
kickstarted her career.
Yeah, basically what it was about, he was rapping from a male's perspective, and he knew Trina, and he wanted someone that could come through and basically give the female's perspective on that record. Now, if anyone is familiar with Trick Daddy or his music, he is a ridiculous human being. He says some of the most outlandish, crazy, funny stuff you could ever hear. He's extremely vulgar. I love Trick Daddy. Trina did that from a female's perspective. You should hear her mouth on that record. It is ridiculous. The entire verse is almost bleeped out. It was crazy. So that obviously, again, back to the previous point about shock value and things like that. That's what put her on.
Then we have the Brat, right? Which her first major breakthrough occurred when she won the top prize in a local contest in her hometown of Chicago, which was sponsored by Yo MTV Raps. Remember, MTV Raps was big that time, right? What her reward was meeting Chris Cross, and that's how she got in contact with Jermaine Dupri, and then who signed the Brat. Yeah.
She was the first solo female artist to go platinum as well. First solo.
Also
So-
underrated and not
yeah.
like put up there, but
Mhm.
she's
Again, she's one
around.
of those people where you'll know a lot of her songs, but you might not necessarily know her.
yeah.
If
Same
you-
like how we spoke about
yeah,
MC Light
So
earlier.
so if you saw her style, a way of dressing and everything, Jermaine Dupri, his intention for her was to position her image as the female Snoop Dogg, right? She
Yeah, Jermaine was famous for that. He didn't just sign an artist, he created your whole image, he put your
Yeah.
entire albums together. He was an orchestrator of basically
Every single thing.
every aspect of the artist, of the star's life, from Bow Wow to Criss Cross to the Brat.
yeah.
He was extremely hands-on.
Yeah. So she became one of the first female rappers to spit openly about her life. Her debut album was called Funkified. It was released in '94. It entered the rap album chart at number 11, right? And the album also went platinum, making her the first female solo rapper to sell 1 million copies. Right? Then we have Lady of Rage. Right?
Was she angry?
I'm assuming so.
Right? So you know the Lady of Rage. She is in she was part of
Death Row. If you remember, there's this famous and legendary pictures of the billboards and things like that of the Death Row artists with the blacked out thing and the faces just there. Lady of Rage was one of them. I think a lot of people today probably don't know who she was,
Yeah.
but she was great back then.
Yeah, so she features in the Chronic and the Doggy Style, right? So part of a story between that, right? The Chronic comes out, right? Her album, they busy making her album, right? Now because of Snoop Dogg's success in the Chronic, right? They
Doggy
push
Style
back
comes out.
her album and put Snoop Dogg at first. So it
Yeah.
comes again. We spoke last week about Robert Roxanne Shante battling 12 male
Well,
rappers.
that might not have necessarily be anything to do with her being a female. It's just that Snoop shines so much on the Chronic, it made sense to follow up with his album. Because if you hear like Karab speak about her, he always said Dr. Dre felt like from Death Row, he only wanted to work with Snoop, RBX, and Lady of Rage.
Mm,
The other guys would have to sort themselves out
Yeah.
because they were his favorites.
yeah.
So it's not like she was put on the back burner
burner.
specifically because she was a female. Maybe, I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Snoop was such a shining star just out of the Chronic that it made sense for him to follow up that album. And then, because look at what he did. He was the highest debuting album of all time, or the second until 50 came.
Yeah.
But the highest album, but debut album from an artist
Yeah,
was Snoop.
and then Doggy Style came, and then the album was supposed to come after that. And just after Doggy Style album was supposed to come, I think there was some.
But Ray did end up coming with something.
Yeah, no, she came up with the album, but because of the hype of of the others, the way they dropped us, it didn't give that.
What
full
happened is
effect.
because of the star power on death row and so much people were shining through, it might have not, the
Yeah,
light might have been not so bright on
but
her.
she is regarded as
No, Rage is great.
one of the best.
And when I say Rage is great, I mean the rapper and I mean having Rage is great.
Right. Then we have Eve,
The
right?
Pitbull in a skirt.
Right. Yeah, that at the time DMX in the 90s was popular, right? Before signing to
You don't just make a statement like that, just like that time DMX in the 90s was popular. You just said that like it was nothing.
No.
The
DMX
dog.
was
It was-
popular.
It was,
in
he was
that-
Yeah.
DMX.
You're supposed to use your
Your
Okay, sorry.
DWIHH
he
voice.
was
Not
the
just say
most
DMX
popular
was
rapper
popular in the
alive
90s.
in the 90s.
That was DMX.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. And right by his side was Eve, right? But the background story before her coming into Rough Riders.
She was
Right.
signed to Dr. Dre.
She was signed to Dr. Dre, but because Dr. Dre was he was a perfectionist, and it was taking time for her songs to get released, and at that same time Eminem came in, right? So then she went into
Rough
Rough
Riders.
Riders. So what Rough Riders? How she got recruited is
She had to
they-
battle everybody.
she had to battle. They went downstairs, I think, to a basement, and she had to battle everybody, and she had to battle DMX, and that's how she got basically signed.
And that's how you got, if you watch like the Rough Riders Chronicles and things, that's the only way you made it onto Rough Riders. If you had to
You had to
battle
go
all these
to-
people and
and you-
survive it,
and then
even
you-
if you lost, but you still had to like do well, then you would have gotten signed. If you couldn't make it, you wouldn't be signed to them.
And the last hurdle you're gonna have to battle was DMX, the X. Yeah, that solidifies you to enter into Rough Riders. Well, her debut album was released in '99. Let There Be Eve, a Rough Riders first lady, right? The project reached #1 in the Billboard 200, making her at that time the third female rapper to accomplish the feat. She continued to be a magnetic force in the Rough Riders universe.
In general, not only
yeah.
within Rough Riders, Eve was huge. Is huge.
Right.
She's got a lot of hits.
But but it was only in 2000 with a breakthrough album called Scorpion that it made our household name. You know that song, Got What You Need? It plays
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
every
Yeah.
it's
Every
most-
DJ uses
every
it.
DJ uses-
yeah.
I use it
Mhm.
almost every single time. Yeah. And then
And you must know she was on a label that took over the world. Like Rough Riders was everywhere, motorbikes, all that. You had DMX selling millions, you had the Locks coming back on there, and she was still able to shine through on that label with all that stars around her.
yeah. Then we have Lisa Left Eye Lopez, right?
Of TLC.
Of TLC, yeah. Alright, so yeah.
What
So
does it look for?
no, I was looking at him because he said TLC. I was expecting him to say something else. He just said TLC, yeah. But she is part of the group called TLC. Yeah, that's where she rose to fame. As one of the biggest hip hop and R&B groups on earth. But what's it called? She was the MC in.
Yeah, the other two
Material.
were singers, she was the rapper.
She
within the
was
group.
she was the, what's it called, right? Then she was about to create her own solo career.
She was signed to Death Row as well.
Signed to that, yeah. Then she was signed to Death Row. She even has a song with Tupac, which was recorded before he died. Yeah, but she died tragically in 1992, right?
No, that's too early.
No, it's too early. No, it can't be 1992.
It's way too early.
Way too
Ali.
early. It's 1990.
Something. Don't have to
Hey,
give.
Yeah,
you don't
you
have
don't
to
come
give
with the
date.
year.
You just got 1992 is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I'm just checking.
She was signed to Death Row post Snoop and him, like the
Yeah.
second
Mhm.
the second time Death
Yeah.
Row with Corrupt and Crocodile and all of that. So this is what, late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah, I think it was 98, 99.
Maybe even early 2000s. Maybe
Yeah.
2002.
No, it was 2000. Yeah, it was probably
Yeah.
2000.
Stop giving the.
Sorry. I apologize.
Incorrect.
Please forgive me, everyone. Yeah, and then we have Remy Ma.
Sheeta. Remy is Remy. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Remy. Remy is one of that female MCs that you got to mention with the men. She goes bar for bar with the best of them. She came from Big Pun and Fat Joe. She still got hit. She destroyed Nicki on Sheeta.
Yeah, which is the female version of Ether.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That hence the term Sheeta.
not Sheeta.
Ah, man.
No, I'm just teasing. But yeah, Remy Ma was one of Big Pun's favorite MCs, right? because basically he's the one that discovered her, and she's on the song called on the single Lean Back, which topped the Billboard 100. She's as a solo
Remy came
artist.
out at that point in time, she was about to blow up.
Mm.
And unfortunately, she got incarcerated. So actually, album didn't come out back then. She came out and she did the album with Joe. So actually, till now, we haven't
Yeah.
actually received a solo album from Remy. And she is still hailed as like a great, great, great MC.
Okay, but she has a album, a solo album. Can't just remember what
Those were mixtapes. A solo album never came. Remy don't have a solo album.
She doesn't have,
She does not.
because there's something.
She
about,
got a joint album.
there's something about Mary based on a true story.
She got mixtapes,
Yeah.
and then she got a joint album with Joe, and then she did some stuff before she went away. But she doesn't have an official solo album
Official,
release.
okay. Then we have Rad Digger, right? Rad Digger came up as a long-time member of the Flip Mode Squad,
Prior to that, she was with what was that group called the Eastsiders?
and then her debut album, Dirty Harriet, released in 2000, and it featured Busta Rhymes and Eve. She also worked with Baham Media on the track Be Okay from Lyricist Lounge Volume 1. Yeah, and then
Raz like
Yes,
a pro lyricist, and you
Mm.
probably heard a verse from what was the record with Mariah and Busta? The big one?
I know what you want.
Yeah,
mm,
that's Radiga
Yeah.
on there rapping. So I guarantee you there's millions and millions of people out there that know that verse word for word but don't know who she is.
who she is, yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up something by mentioning Radiga. Because I know you find a segue every week to mention this man. Sometimes I do it for you.
No, I
but-
forgot even.
I'm surprised you didn't segue from Radiga into Eminem. I'm really surprised. She come before she was Flip Mode. She come from a group called the Eastsiders, which Eminem was a part of as well before they
Oh,
both
yeah.
blew up.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you did not find the link and mention that.
Sorry,
Stan, are you
I
slipping?
forgot. No, I was slipping. I forgot about it. I know you are
Slipping, you
I know you-
falling.
I know you was
You
part
can't
of
get up.
I know you was part of Eastsiders before.
Before you blew up and before
But
she blew
D12,
up.
yeah.
No, you meant Bazaar were both part of it.
Yeah, but I mean before the D12, right? And then Charlie Baltimore.
Did Charlie Baltimore really deserve shine on the Queens of Hip Hop episode?
Huh?
Charlie Baltimore really did nothing. She was Big's artist. He wrote for her. Then she went to Murder Inc. Like,
Yeah.
does Charlie Baltimore really deserve shine?
I don't know. It's just a word about
She's
mention.
attractive. We can mention that.
It's just a mention, right?
It's just a mention.
Just a mention.
Honorable mention.
Honorable
Honorable
mention. I'm gonna
mention.
give my honorable mentions just now, right? Erica Badu.
Not technically a hip hop
Hip-hop
rapper,
artist, yeah.
but she's a hip hop artist, but she's not technically a rapper.
Yeah.
Also great.
But
Also
yeah,
great
of course. And then
tracks.
what was that song with
It's common. I used to common love of my life.
yeah, that's basically a song about hip hop. So she wasn't technically what
She's
would she
called-
fall under?
It's hip hop soul.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay, there we go.
It's
That's
hip hop.
what,
yeah.
that's what I was
it's,
looking
it's,
for.
it's hip hop soul. So she infused soul, funk, R&B, and then infused
She
the
was on her own
yeah,
vibe, like
yes,
her
Very
own-
weird lady.
yeah. But
Yeah, no, she is. She's
she
a legendary, if we can, hip hop soul artist then, or
Hip-hop soul
R&B artist, or soul
Yeah.
artist, or whatever she was. She wasn't within a box, but basically she made a song talking about the love of her life being hip hop.
being hip hop, yeah. Then we have in the late 2010s. Nicki
In the
Minaj.
early 2010s,
early 2010s, yeah.
late
Minaj.
2000s. You said late 2010s is was,
Sorry,
was
early 2010s.
2019.
Early 2010s, yeah. Nicki Minaj, right? So, yeah. So as we spoke about Nicki Minaj, Lil Kim has a beef with had a beef with Nicki Minaj, saying no, they stole the style. But anyway, Nicki Minaj, yeah, legendary female artist. I think everybody knows about her.
Legendary.
For me,
At this
legendary.
point, it does
She's
become
legendary.
legendary because you've been around what 10
Yeah.
years now
Yeah,
plus.
and she's
Okay.
legendary.
So it
yeah.
can't. And then whether you like Nicki or not, right? The facts are the facts. When she wants to, she can rap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like really go,
Really,
like
really.
on Monster and things like that. She can destroy
she
men.
Yeah, she destroyed.
Secondly, again, whether you like her or not, Nicki is arguably the biggest female MC of
Yeah.
all time. So what she has done is, even though you can say yes, she took her style from Kim,
Yeah.
right? What she has done for all the females that came after her were influenced and took her style basically, and that's why the fact now that you got 17 different women all rapid and all on top of the game right now is a direct link to her. Because she's so famous and sold so much, she's opened doors for these other females to come through. So the disrespect that she does receive from people that aren't her fans is crazy, because even though she does make pop sounding records and she does the funny stuff like the super bass and all of that, and don't respond to Remy properly and things like that, yes, you can knock her for that, and she say, because you're supposed to be an MC and get down and dirty with the MCs. But she is extremely important to the culture in terms of what she's been able to achieve in the period of time that she has and the heights that she's reached.
Right? Now I'm gonna come with my honorable mentions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is Ladybug Mecca, MC Trouble,
Mm-hmm.
Jean Grey, I
Mm-hmm.
hope I said it right, Gangsta Boo,
Uh-huh.
Emil.
Emil from Rhapsody should not get, I'm not from Rhapsody, from Rockefeller should not get a shout out, but anyway.
Anyway,
Okay.
it's women's man. Be
All
generous.
right.
Mia X.
Okay.
There's a group called Diamond and Princess.
Yeah.
Yo Yo.
Mhm.
Right. What else? Okay.
Rhapsody, nothing.
Okay, I never put it on.
Yeah. She is one of the current, okay, when I say current, I mean 6-7 years,
Yeah.
maybe 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
2010s.
Okay.
Best, not female MCs. MCs, you will go bar for bar. Who do you all regard as the best of the last 10 years? Kendrick and Cole.
Mm-hmm.
She will tear them up on a song.
Right.
And they've admitted this.
Okay.
And she makes conscious, proper music. Like, not this nonsense that the rest of them to be
Okay.
rapping about their body parts
Okay.
and all of that.
Okay.
There's actual music there.
What do you feel about Azalea Banks?
I feel like she can rap, but she should not talk in public.
Okay. All right.
Some people is good at the art form, but when they do interviews and they do other stuff, it
Yeah.
paints such a bad light on them that people don't want to listen to their music anymore.
And that was that was on the Queens of Hip Hop.
Tokyo Jets, nothing.
I didn't think about it.
Nitty Scott, nothing.
Nah.
This is all current MCs that can, female MCs that can rap.
Okay, you were talking about current. So I was.
You were going older, yeah.
I was
yeah.
I was looking at it older. So you mention all the ones.
I can't remember all of it now. I never prepared for today's show, I'll be honest with you.
Okay. Thank you for being honest. Okay.
All right, so that's a shout out to
But
all
there
the
is a lot
queens. Okay, so that was Shackles. Shiki, you know the song.
And shackles on my feet so I can dance.
I just want
I
to
just
praise
want to
you.
praise you. I really did not know. I knew the song. I did not know that it was Mary Mary. And I
And-
did not know that it was a religious song. I just be singing
Yeah.
along to the stuff.
So that's
Yeah.
our focus artist for the day. Is Mary Mary. Okay, so they are sisters, Erica and Tina Atkins.
So none of them are named Mary.
No,
No.
the reason why they called Mary is basically based on the Bible. What
Mary
Jesus,
was the
Mary
mother.
and Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
Okay, but one of them should at least be named Mary. I'm just saying.
No, that's why
They should make it Mary, 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 and add Mary J. Blige. in there. She can sing, they can rap.
Yeah. So they started also in the 90s. They were like singers. They've got about 7 siblings. And
Any
they-
other siblings named Mary?
No.
Alright.
The parents were pastors, so they started like off in the church as well.
Mhm.
And then they also toured for Brandy. They were backup singers. And then in 98, was it 98 or
No, it's
2000?
98. No, it's 98.
98 when they, yes, that's when they formed Mary Mary and they released Shackles, which is still one of their biggest songs and the biggest albums. The album was called Thankful. Okay, so, yeah, so they also have been, like, they basically broadened they were like contemporary gospel music, and they added like hip hop, soul music, funk and jazz. So they're not totally just hip hop, but they are a mixture of
They blend genres.
Yeah,
together.
they blend
blend
genres,
genres, yeah. Okay, and
They are
then
blended family.
blended. Yeah, and then another fact: both sisters married.
Mary, married.
Men with the same last name, so they both are Campbell. So it's Tina Campbell and Erica Campbell.
So they
and
changed their surnames and then to.
they both got
they
the
both-
same surname,
both
and
the
the
same.
people that they married are not even related though. So it's
That sounds very incestuous.
No,
Just
you
saying.
can have the same. surname, but
Yes,
you're
I
not-
know, I
Yeah,
know.
you're
I
not
know.
family.
And
Unless
even if
you-
they were
Unless
family,
you're my cousin.
even if you're family,
yeah. Anything you like to add on them, Ari?
Yeah, no, just Mary. I'm thinking what Shackles, right? As you said earlier, people played Shackles. They play Shackles in the club, not realizing that it's a gospel record, but which was
I don't
which was
think
really
there's
good.
anything wrong with it,
It's
number
nothing,
one.
yeah.
Number two, I've known that song for years. Until you all told me that's a gospel record, I did not know.
Yeah.
I will sing along to that thing when it plays.
But
And
well done.
not know. It happens sometimes you'll sing along to something
Yeah.
or rap along to something and not realize, because you're not internalizing
Mm.
what you're actually singing along to. Or
And at the
until you told me, then I sing the lyrics, I'm like, oh, it is.
And at the time, it was one of the biggest songs.
It
like-
still is a
Mm.
huge record
Yeah.
till now.
Yeah, I think they even collaborated with Kirk Franklin.
Yeah,
and
they
they
toured
got-
with him.
They
and-
toured with him, and there's that one song they did where I said it's like I still said it's like that how they created We Are the World. So they also part of that song.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm.
Would
Yeah.
you like to add on them?
No, I think that's all I can really think about.
Next, we're gonna get into a part of the show that gets someone all excited in his seat.
And I'm even smiling.
apartment.
You can even hear my smile.
So over to you, Mr. Magoo.
Okay. This past week in hip hop history, Mr. Palay,
I have thrown it to the side.
Mr. Single.
No,
got something to
what you
say?
doing? What you doing?
he started it. We had to end it. Okay. This past week in hip hop history, A Tribe Called Quest released their fourth album, Beats, Rhymes, and Life, in July '96. UGK released their third album, Riding Dirty, in '96, July '96 as well. Chuck D of Public Enemy was born on August 1st, 1960. Shika, I know you got something to say. I see you
I
picking
have
up your hand.
nothing to say.
I heard you picking up your hand.
You
can
already
see.
picking up
I
his
see-
head.
I heard him pick up your hand. Like they can hear me smiling right now. Yeah.
I
okay.
think I've spoken on all these people throughout this week's in hip hop history, so I'm just gonna be reiterating old stuff. So I'm just
Yeah.
letting you go and have fun. with it.
Okay. EPMD released their second album, Unfinished Business, in August 1989. Raekwon released his debut solo album, Only Built for Cuban Links, in August '95. Now I know you're going to say
What does the album cover say on there? Raekwon featuring who?
Uh,
It says Ghostface on there.
huh?
On the album cover, it says Raekwon featuring Ghostface.
Yeah, okay.
When we were doing our top 5 groups and I tried to put them under duos or honorable mention for a duo, you were insisting they are not a group. But anyway, just continue.
Okay. Don't bite. Don't to attack me. You like to attack me every single weekend. What's your
Because you
problem?
don't let me do what I want to do, so I
Yeah.
have to get
What you
revenge somewhere. When I went through, I had them as honorable mentions as a duo. You
But
said,
no way
but
you
they're
said-
not a duo. They're not a duo. That
They're not
album,
they're
they are
not a duo.
unofficial duo.
Yeah, but they're not a duo. It's
Like-
Raekwon and Ghostface. Yeah,
Continue,
anyway.
continue.
See, because this guy, we need prayer for this guy. Anyway, let's go continue. Big L's second and final album, The Big Picture, 1974 to '99, was released in August 2000.
Rest in peace to Big L. Would have been a huge, huge artist if he didn't unfortunately pass away, because Big L was a phenomenal MC.
Right? Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock released their debut single, It Takes Two, in August 1988. Then we have Snoop Dogg releasing his third solo album, The Game Is to Be Sold, Not to Be Told, in August 1998. That was his first album on
No limit.
No Limit, when he just left Death Row. And then Funk Master Flex was born August 5th, 1968.
People probably have heard Funk's Master Flex before because he always says controversial stuff that gets him like to go viral. You know, with the Tupac stuff and all of that.
The issue what when B.I.G. said Brooklyn stand up.
Yeah, like
Those
Funk
are the-
Flex. Always, he's a legendary hip hop DJ and radio personality, but always sell controversial stuff that ends up going viral.
And then MCA of the Beastie Boys was born August 5, 1964.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say
Beastie
about
Boys.
Beastie Boys.
No, that's what
we
I'm
said
saying.
it already.
The other weeks I spoke
Yeah, no,
about
we
it,
spoke
so I've
about
already
Beastie Boys.
covered this thing. If
So,
you want to hear
yeah.
what I have to say, all
So
these people
please
go listen to
just
our
go
old
back,
episodes.
Yeah, go back because we did speak about Beastie Boys. And that was it for this past week in hip hop history. Shiki, do you have more?
Nothing that I can think of.
D-Money?
Everything you mentioned, I happened in history. I can't go back and add new things into
Yeah,
history.
please
You're
go back.
asking me if I must add more. How do I add more into history?
Yeah, add more into history. I know you like to add more in history. You like to add more into
There's nothing
everything.
that I can think of right now that
Okay.
would be significant in
that
a
was the
historical
history.
event.
That was the history, yeah.
All right.
Anyway, that's what I hope you guys enjoyed the show.
Shout out to all the queens.
Shout out to all the queers.
Hope they have a great Women's Day.
Anyway, this was the Turntable on Active FM, where radio has never been better.
Right. Remember, I'm Aristas, that's Shaky, that's the money. This is the turntable where we keep you learned and get you turned.
So we're going to end it off with the verse today, which comes from 2 Corinthians 10, verse 5. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ.